What's up guys, Noelle here, and sorry about that brief hiatus I took last week. I got completely That's what happens when you get old. I've been completely slammed with schoolwork, and honestly I thought it would be easier online. I was dead wrong. Also, I'm sitting on the floor instead of my bed like normal. I've filmed a video on the floor before, and you know, it's pretty ratchet and the lighting's kind of bad. But to be fair, you can see my highlight really well. But I was too lazy to set up all my tripod stuff and make my bed, so this is what we get today. I'm lazy, okay? This quarantine has made me lose all sense of productivity. Speaking of quarantine, this is the first time in 2 weeks I'm wearing makeup, and I'm wearing my hair in this bun because I've had it up like this all day because I'm lazy again. And if I take it down, it's just gonna look really weird and just crazy. So I'm leaving it like this. No matter how horrible it looks, I don't care. Anyways, you guys don't care. Why am I talking about things that don't matter right now? Anyways, so this video is going to be me talking about my college plans and how drastically they have changed over the course of a few years. So I'm a freshman in college right now. Actually, in about a week, I'm gonna be done with my freshman year of college. So I'll be sophomore, I guess. But basically, I've been doing this college thing since my junior year, pretty much. More so my senior year of high school. But my plans now are very different from what they were when I started applying to college. So I'm gonna talk to you guys about some of that. Maybe you can learn from some of my woes. I'm gonna stop talking now and just get into the video. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So in the title of this video, I included basically the talking points that I'm gonna be addressing in this video, the main ones. So the first one I listed was me almost going into $200,000 of debt. I'm not in debt right now. I actually am in college for free, which is pretty crazy, pretty cool. Not many people get the opportunity to do that. Luckily, I did. So kind of where this whole situation started, 2 weeks before my junior year of high school, like literally 2 weeks to the day before I started my junior year of high school, I moved to Florida from Tennessee, and I did not want to move to Florida. I was very adamant that I did not want to move to Florida, and the reason why, well, besides the fact that I cannot stand hot weather, not that Tennessee didn't have hot weather, that's the thing, but like, all my friends were in Tennessee, my theater program was in Tennessee, and I wanted to stay there. And I was very mad because I'd finally made friends in high school because I had trouble with that, especially my freshman year. And then in my sophomore year of high school, I finally did that through theater. And my parents were here dragging me away from that, yay. So I was immediately like, I'm going to Tennessee for college, you can't stop me. And of course, being a junior, you don't have to really worry about applying for college yet, so my parents were like, all right, cool. And the reason they wanted to move there was, my parents are Floridians, sadly, and they wanted me to go to college in Florida, and I did not want to, clearly, I just stated that. But anyways, fast forward through later in junior year, I started taking a huge interest in going to college in Boston, and so then by the end of junior year, or really beginning of senior year more so, maybe end of, I don't know, whenever Common App opened, I don't know when that was, but I had 4 schools on my list, 2 in Boston and 2 in Nashville, Tennessee, and the ones in Nashville were less expensive, though expensive-ish. The ones in Boston though, and one of them was even a state school, both of them were really, really expensive, so I was finna go into a lot of debt if I was gonna go to one of those. So going through senior year, I'm applying. I submitted my application for Boston University, which is one of the private ones, and I wanted to go there because of their theater program. Spoiler alert, I did not get in because I'm not that great of an actress. That's why I did not major in theater anymore. Yeah, by November, I don't remember anything from high school. I had applied for Boston University, and then in like late January, early February, I submitted my application to UMass Boston, which is the state school, but still very expensive. Even if you're in state, it's expensive, and out of state, it's even worse. But I wanted to go there, and I did get into that. But the 2 schools in Nashville that I applied to, by the end of senior year, like I had not submitted my applications to either of those schools, and I was starting to get emails from them about like, oh, we see that you've started your application but haven't submitted it. Oh, make sure you submit it so you can get a spot because we'd love to have you. And I was really looking at those emails just like, I don't really want to go there anymore. Like, I'd really kind of lost interest in going to college in Nashville by my senior year, that I just didn't care to anymore. I just was like, you know what? So I never ended up submitting those applications. So I applied to a total of 2 schools and got into one of them. So 50% acceptance, I guess, for me. But yeah, I applied to both of those schools as a theater major, and I'll get into that whole shebang later on. Obviously didn't get into BU. BU was heckin' expensive, and I knew for a fact I was not gonna try to go there unless I got a fat scholarship, but I didn't even get in anyways, so no need to worry. But I got into UMass. I wanted to go to UMass so badly, and as soon as I got my acceptance letter, I made all the plans to go to UMass. I was like, I'm going here, this is where I'm gonna be, this is where I'm gonna make my education. So I told my parents this, I'm like, I'm going here, and my parents are very adamant about never going into debt for anything except for a mortgage or any kind of post-grad education that will make you a lot of money. So like a post-grad degree in some kind of science field and not the arts. But UMass for an out-of-state student totals to about $50K a year on average, and that's a lot of money. Do the math, times 4 years, that's $200,000 a year, which is about the amount of debt that you graduate from med school with. So I was about to graduate from normal 4-year college with, or not about to, I was wanting to graduate from a just regular college with the same amount of debt as a med school grad, and for a theater degree, to which you make jack squat. So, but my parents were very much like, no, you're not doing this. And of course, me being a teenager, I was like, no, I'm old enough to make my own decisions. And I eventually caved and listened to them. My mom helped me apply for the local community college and was like, you can go to UMass after you've finished your AA degree. So that's what I'm doing now. I am now halfway done with it. Actually, technically, I'm like 3/4 of the way done. But yeah, as much, I would still really, really love to be at UMass. Don't get me wrong, I would still absolutely be overjoyed if I was able to go there. Like, if I got a letter in the mail today, like saying, hey, you can go to UMass for free, I would so take it. Like, you don't understand. But I'm glad that I'm not taking out that much debt for any kind of bachelor's degree, especially not theater. I'm not a theater major now, but I'm just glad I'm not in that amount of debt as a college student. Like, that's just a lot of money. A lot of money. And spoiler alert, I want to go to med school, which means I'll be in $200,000 of debt eventually anyways. So if I have that med school debt on top of that same amount in a bachelor's degree debt, oh boy, I'd be paying that off till I die, unless I became like Derek Shepherd or something like that. But yeah, I'm just so glad I'm not in that level of debt, and especially for a theater degree, that would really suck. Probably repeating myself at this point. But yeah, at the point I'm at now, I mean, first of all, I wouldn't advise anybody to get a bachelor's degree of any kind in the arts at all, because I feel like that's just a waste of time. Like, if you want to go into a career in the arts, I feel like you don't need a degree for that. If anything, you should go to college to like get some kind of fallback degree in case it doesn't work out, so that you're not left on the streets begging for spare change. So yeah, I generally just would not recommend going to college for an arts degree. I mean, you can do whatever you want, I just highly discourage it. But especially trying to pay that much money for that. I mean, if you have that much disposable income that you could just throw out to get a $300,000 music degree, like, have at it. But I mean, my parents are well off, but they're not $70K a year without emptying the 401k well off. yeah, but so I'm going to college for free because in Florida they have this scholarship program funded by the lottery where if you have to complete 100 hours of community service, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that hard. I mean, think about it. 4-hour shift once a week for 25 weeks, that's nothing. But you also have to have a certain GPA and a certain SAT score, and I've always been, I wouldn't say I was a good student in high school. I mean, I was okay student. I wasn't a very good one, but I'm smart. I've always managed pretty darn good grades, so I made it. I got the scholarship, and now I'm going to college for free. So yeah, that's the story of how I almost went into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt for a theater degree, but didn't. Now, on to my next talking point, which is changing my major, which, after you hear the story of that, might sound a little clickbaity, but I'm not technically lying here. I'm just not changing my major now. I'm planning on keeping the major I'm in, but I did change my major once. So right now, I'm a biology major, and I am on a pre-med track. As I mentioned, I want to go to med school super badly. I figured this out at the very end of my senior year after I'd received all of my acceptance letters, so timely fashion. But as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to go in for a theater degree, which again, would not recommend under any circumstances unless you just have all that money to throw away. Noelle, how did you go from wanting to study theater to wanting to study a medical track? Glad you asked me that. If you look at kind of how I made the decision and what time frame I took to make the decision to change my major, you might think it was kind of a rash decision, but there was a lot of underlying things that really caused me to shift. So on the surface, me changing my major, actually, all thanks to a YouTuber by the name of Violet MD. You should totally check her out. She's wonderful. I still watch her to this day. She is a internal medicine resident who vlogs her experiences in the hospital, and I one day stumbled upon her channel on my recommended and watched her videos, and at the time I think I wasn't thinking about possibly going into medicine at the time, but like finding her videos, like at first I was watching them, I was like, this is so interesting, but I don't think I could do this. But the more I watched her videos, I was like, this sounds like fun. And like, it wasn't just vlogging in the hospital, like she would also be explaining like kind of the nitty-gritty medical stuff, and every time she did, I'm like, oh girl, tell me more. So I was kind of like, maybe I could be a doctor. And then after a while, I was kind of like, you know what? Yeah, I want to be a doctor now. So yeah, that was kind of on the surface. That was a decision I made over the course of, I think I'd been watching her videos for about 3 months, and then made the decision like in 2 days. But all the underlying stuff. So theater, I started doing that. I mean, I kind of took up an interest in it in 8th grade, but I started really doing it in 10th grade. So I took drama class in 8th grade and really enjoyed it. So I took drama class again in 9th grade. I signed up for it and I did enjoy it. I just didn't enjoy my classmates, but I liked the class. So I decided to take it again in 10th grade, and then this time finally joined the theater program and auditioned for shows. And I got into, there were 4 shows that I auditioned for that year. I got into all but one, but the one that I didn't get into was like a cast of 8 people, so not even surprising. But yeah, I had so much fun doing theater in my school and like with all these people that I had just met and stuff like that. And then moving to Florida, I was upset about it because I was leaving my friends, but I had every intention of, I took drama class again for the last 2 years of high school. It was like different levels of drama. It wasn't the same one over and over, but I had every intention of auditioning for the shows at my new school. And so I auditioned, the first show I auditioned for and the last show I auditioned for at my new school was a show that I had actually previously been in the year before. It was Guys and Dolls, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was actually just in that show last year. Like, so I felt really good about being able to get in because I basically knew the script front to back. I knew all the songs. And so I auditioned and I felt really good about it. Come to find out, my name was not on the cast list. This didn't kill my joy right away, but it stopped me from ever auditioning ever again at that school. Yeah, you could call that giving up. I would just say, like, I don't know. I just didn't want to audition anymore because I just didn't want to. I should probably mention that my new school had like this really, really prestigious theater program, and yeah, that's just bad news for me. And senior year, as senior year progressed, I started liking theater less and less. Like, I just stopped enjoying it. I don't know if it was something to do with just the class and the teaching style, or just things were diminishing. I was kind of getting over my first love, I guess you could say. So I was just losing interest, but I kept pushing myself to keep going for it because I was like, I want to be a theater major. I could be a really great theater teacher. That's what I wanted to be, a theater teacher. So no money for me, but yeah. And then on the science aspect of things, science has always been my favorite subject. I have always loved science, with the exception of AP chemistry in junior year. That absolutely tanked my GPA and my love for anything ever again, but it recovered itself, and that's a good sign. After taking AP chemistry, I was like, I'm never studying this again, and here I am, a biology major. Taking chemistry again. But I've loved science ever since I was little. I've had a big interest in the human body ever since I was little. I actually had this like anatomy kids book that my grandmother gave me, and I read that thing like all the time and knew way more about the human body than most little kids would. I was like probably 8. And also there was this website which you now have to pay for, which sucks, but back in my day it was free. It was called EdHeads, and basically what it was this site where you can do like virtual surgeries, and I was all up in that thing. I loved it. I did knee replacements, hip replacements. I did a deep brain stimulation surgery. Girl, I was a young surgeon. I was literally like 7 or 8 years old, and I remember I looked at the description of the surgery simulator games, and it was like for grades 7 through 12. I wasn't in 7th grade, I was 7 years old. So I was like, But yeah, I never wanted to be a doctor until my senior year. Like, I was just terrified of all the education I would need, but I've just always been so interested in that stuff. That stuff has always been insanely interesting to me, so senior year I kind of dug that back up and was like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do now. So yeah, it may have seemed like a rash decision, but it was definitely coming from a place of like definitely just underlying things. I can speak English really well. Can you tell I tried really hard for a C in English? Yeah. But yeah, anyways, that was my major change, which I did that before I even got to college, so that's great. Good for me. And my last talking point is transferring schools, because earlier in the video, I don't know how long this video is gonna be, probably really long, so way earlier in the video I mentioned I'm in community college, I'm doing my AA. If you want to go to med school, you can't just have an AA. A minimum of a bachelor's degree is required. So I have to finish my bachelor's degree if I want to go to med school, so that means I gotta get out of community college and go to a 4-year institution. So originally, because the reason why I'm in community college now is because I wanted to go to UMass Boston, and basically trying to save up money to go there, which, being as expensive as that school is, that would be pretty difficult at my age and my salary range. But basically that was the whole goal, was to just do a couple of years, knock out my gen eds and stuff like that. But I've kind of come to the conclusion at this point that UMass, as much as, like I said earlier, I want to go to UMass really, really badly, and if I got the opportunity to go there for free or very, very cheap, I would absolutely take it right away. But that's so incredibly unlikely, so I'd probably be, even if I'm not taking out $200,000 of debt to go there, probably $100,000 of debt, which is still a lot on top of medical school debt. No thanks, I don't want to do that. And you might be saying like, oh, but if you're a doctor, you'll be paying that off really quickly. Well, malpractice insurance is a thing. But, so my decision, and I live in Florida. I live in the Orlando area, so the Central Florida area. There's a bunch of state schools around, and if I wasn't so adamant on getting the heck out of Florida, I would have just started at one of those state schools. But since I started at community college instead, which kinda, looking back, I'm like, I kinda wish I'd started at a state school, but can't change the past. You just gotta move forward, I guess. But, I've decided that I am going to actually transfer to USF, which is University of South Florida, and I know I said I live in Central Florida, and there's UCF, University of Central Florida. There's a plethora of reasons why I don't want to go there, though. But the biggest reason that I don't want to go there is, even though I'm in the same city as UCF, I live an hour away from there. It's too far for me to make that commute every day without getting hypertension after 2 weeks, but it's too close for it to be worth it to shell out all that money to live in a dorm. And yeah, I'm still on that full ride scholarship, but that full ride scholarship only covers tuition and books and supplies. It doesn't cover housing. So I'm still gonna, when I go to USF, I'm gonna live on campus because Tampa's like 2 hours away-ish, which is, it's far enough that I can't commute. I have to live on campus. It's close enough though that I can come home on the weekends for a home-cooked meal and see my dogs. But you know, it wouldn't be worth it to live an hour away from home and spend like $8,000 a year on a dorm. That's just, it's not feasible. It's better to do that and live further away that I can't drive to and from every day like that, I guess. And also the thing is, I don't like Orlando at all. I mean, I dislike the entire state of Florida. I would so much rather be in Massachusetts, but I found that the one part of Florida I can tolerate is the Tampa Bay area, which is where USF is. So I think I could enjoy living there, and I actually did visit USF a little while ago, and it's a really nice campus, and I'm actually really excited to go there. Orlando, I very much dislike, and I live here now, and it's so annoying, and everybody's like, oh, how could you hate it? You're right near Disney. That's why I hate it. I'm right near Disney. I'm stuck in traffic going to the grocery store, and that was before COVID-19. But yeah, I want to be out of Orlando for the most part. So I'm not going to UCF. USF is what I've chosen. Again, really wish I could go to Boston, but it just can't happen, I guess. Just too much money. Also, yeah, I forgot, with my credits things and like the courses and stuff being slightly different in Florida than they are in Massachusetts, it's just gonna be a lot more difficult to get credits transferred over there, and I will very likely lose some and fall behind. And I mean, not that that's that big a deal, but I really do not want to fall behind. I really want to graduate in 4 years and get to med school, because I mean, the doctor path takes a long time, and I don't want to extend it any further than it has to go, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I'm just gonna end the video right there. Sorry if this was really long. If it is really long, I'm sorry that it's really long, and I'm sorry if it sounded kind of word vomity. I'm not that great at talking, in case you haven't noticed. I'm just not good with words, I guess you could say. But yeah, I hope you guys liked it, I guess, and maybe learned a thing or two from my experiences and my word vomit. But yeah, if you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and click on that bell so you get post notifications every time I upload. And yeah, that's all I got for you today. So have a good day and adios.
day.